Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Jenna and this is Apple Dolly Creations. I hope you all have had a good day. So let me get myself pulled up. There we go. Okay, so I can see comments just in case. So when you hop on, say hi. If you see this in replay, please put hashtag replay so I can thank you. I'll give you a heart for that because I greatly appreciate all of you for hopping on. And hey Jody, and giving me your time. So because we know anymore everybody is rushed and time is precious. So what we're doing is something very simple, but I'm hoping that by watching these simple little projects that we're doing, that when we start actually making quilt blocks, that you're comfortable doing it, because all these simple little things that we're doing is a form of quilting. So we're making a carrot mug rug, and I just drew up this pattern. It's, you know, no big deal. It's just, I just sat here and drew it. And you need a piece of quilt batting, and you need some scraps of orange fabric. So I have a gingham. This one has a swirl and a polka dot, and this has a flower on it. So you can use as many colors as you want. You can do it all one color. That's one nice thing about using up your scraps. You can adjust everything the way you want. Hi Linda, welcome. I'm glad you're here. So I will post this pattern on Telegram. And if you're not following me on Telegram, that is where I give you cheat sheets and printables and simple little patterns that I draw up. And I don't take them off of there. I don't know how long, if Telegram leaves them up for so long and then takes them off. I don't know. But so far, nothing has disappeared over there, unlike Facebook. So, but I will share this if you want to make this. So, you know, pull out your scraps and, oh, thanks, Jody. I appreciate that. I forgot to do that. Hi, Donna. So I let everybody on Telegram know that like 15 minutes, a half hour, or that I'm going live, what I'm doing. I don't do it if I'm just hopping on here and showing somebody how to do something. I just appear. And then all of you either find me accidentally or you get me on replay. So I appreciate, hi Kay. So this will be on Telegram. So what we're going to start with is the first thing you want to do with any fabric project, iron. And I know I preach that a lot, but if there's a little wrinkle, or if there is a crease where your fabric was folded or anything like that, and you are following a pattern, all of those little creases, and hi Julie, hi Aunt Jane, all of those little tiny creases is going to throw your pattern off. So if you don't own an iron and you want to follow me along in this sewing journey, especially in the pattern reading class, you need an iron. And I know people say just throw it in a dryer, but it doesn't get all the wrinkles and all the creases out. I mean, it does a good job, but not like an iron does. So I have already pressed all of these out. So I'm just checking them just because I have them in a pile. And I find the hotter your iron, the better. Now this batting, this is a real thin. Oh, you do now? Great. Hi, Sandra. Thank you for sharing. So this quilt batting. Somebody asked me if you iron it. Yeah, you can iron this. All it is cotton. It's just a woven cotton. I'm not exactly sure how they, but it's snubby, but you know, you can iron it. I mean, if you can throw it in the dryer, if you're putting it with fabric, I iron it. Now, if you ever iron something that has an acrylic in it, that is best to throw in the dryer with like a wet towel or something, because our acrylic will melt. So if you have to iron it, use a pressing cloth and a really low heat, because you don't want to melt your fabric. Hi, Brenda. So, and our acrylic, you can always feel it has like a knit. It's always like really stretchy, but it'll melt on you if you try to iron it. That's also like the permanent press fabrics, you know, they make men's shirts out of. That has an acrylic in it also. But you can iron that because it's more cotton than acrylic. But it will scorch really easy. If you've ever tried to iron a man's dress shirt and it's scorched on you, that's the reason it's scorched. So I'm just making sure these are all really good. And they seem to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our pattern and we're going to draw it on here. Now, normally what I would just do is sew all my strips on and then just take my pattern and cut it out. But because I have limited strips, I want to make sure that I don't run out. So I'm just pressing this on, and I'm using a marker so y'all can see it. But normally I would not leave a marker. So all we're going to do is I'm going to do half of my, let me get my marker back here again. So I'm going to do a line, and it doesn't have to be like exactly half. I have little threads everywhere because I want half of my carrot, the fabric going one way, and half the fabric going the other. So you'll see that in a moment. So I'm just giving myself a guide. And I used a ruler to keep my lines straight because my lines aren't straight. Julie, if I didn't say hi to you, hi. I don't remember. Hi, Debbie. So that's what I have. So you can draw your line anywhere. It doesn't have to be there. It could be across. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's your carrot. So what I'm going to do, and I got my other machine up here. I took all the embroidery off of it because I love that old machine, but it is so heavy. And without Tony being home, see, I can pick this one up one-handed. That other one, I can't hardly pick up two hands. So I'm going to take you off of here and put you around my neck. So I hope everybody had a good weekend. I spent most of my weekend on the couch. I didn't get anything accomplished. Okay, let's get you turned around so that you can see this exactly how I'm doing it. So if you have already said me on the pattern reading class, I got you. You don't have to say me and then send me a message. I got you. So all I'm doing is I'm laying my fabric just a little bit over the line I drew. Just a little bit. And I'm just going to do a straight stitch here. So see, I'm over the line here. Well, this is a long strip, so. And we're just going to do a straight stitch. And I got a new sewing foot that I'm going to come on here sometime tomorrow playing around with it. And back stitch. And I don't know why this thing is making a noise. So you just want to sew right over. See, the fabric is a little bit over the line here. And I sewed just a little bit over the line there. So we're going to take our next strip and we're going to put right side to right side. I think you all have seen me do this before. But this is a really quick, easy way to do mug rugs. You also, by changing up the batting and using the one that's for, that will take heat, you can make this into a pot holder. So I'm still over my line. So if you're using tiny little strips, line it up this way first to make sure. Now see, if I didn't do that, see how this part right here is not going to be over that line. So you want to make sure that the inside of your fabric is over that line. And see, I have a stitch already there. I'm not worrying about that. So I'm going to flip this over and we're going to sew this. Now this is part of a quilting pattern. Sewing strips like this or pieces like this. So I know that I scared a lot of you, and I'm just sewing just right over top of that line we drew. And I know that I scared a lot of you by saying quilting and by saying a pattern, but please don't be. I don't do anything complicated on here. Now see, I just folded that over and I finger pressed it. So now we're going to our next strip. So since these two colors are almost, I'm going to do another gingham check. So see, I'm laying it like this first before I flip it over. So you can do this, the front and back one color, and then, you know, turn it inside out and you're done. Do a top stitch, you're done. But I want to give this a little bit different. Sometimes plain is good, but I don't like plain. What are we putting peanut butter on? Thank you, Julie, for sharing. Oh, Jody. You burnt your green beans. So I'm just clipping that off. Just because these strips are really long. To see how we're doing it, now I'm going to add this one with has the swirl and the little polka dot on it. This is an easy thing to do too. If you're brand new at sewing and you're not sure about your lines staying straight, this is a good project. And then you're making something out of it too. Now you can put these on going every direction under the sun. Now see how I started doing these more at an angle, because it's going to give it another dimension here. So as I was sewing, see, I started out the width of my presser foot there, and then I came up. I sewed it at an angle. So just, you don't need to actually iron this every single time. You can use your fingers to just press it. Now just match up your edges so that everything will line up. Oh, I bet that I hate the smell of burnt food. I never heard of peanut butter. And every time I fry bacon, my smoke detector goes off for some reason. And it doesn't matter if I have my fan on or not. So each row I'm starting just a few stitch on this the line that I drew, and I'm sewing off a few strips where I drew the pattern on. And you have to excuse me, I have a frog. This pollen is absolutely killing me. Our truck looks like someone just took spray paint and put all over it. It's all yellow, which is driving Tony crazy because he washes it religiously. Okay, now before I sew the last strip on, see how that's looking? And see how it's kind of fanned out because that one strip I sewed at an angle. I'll have to try that. Hi, Kayla. I haven't burnt anything in a while, knock on wood, but you know, you never know, right? So before I sew that last strip on, we're going to start going this way. So since we started with the gingham, we're going to start with this other one. So what I'm doing is the line we drew, I'm going over top of that and above the top line. And I'm just going to sew right straight across. Because when we trim this, all of these edges will be trimmed off. So if you're going somewhere for Easter, this would be a nice, quick, easy gift to give. You don't have to do all these strips. You can just do two solid pieces of fabric and turn them right sides out. Trim that so it's a little straight. So all of the sewing that I've been doing lately is scraps. So somebody asked me, what do you do with all the scraps? Well, if you follow me, you'll see that's all I've been using is scraps. And that's what this is too. This is scrap fabric. You can do so much with scrap fabric. And even like the misshapen pieces, you can do something like this. So this is just straight stitching. So if you just got your machine and you're practicing straight stitching, this is the perfect project for you to make. Now these are just going to go all the way down. And see, these aren't all the same width either. Now you can cut your fabric to get these strips. you actually can buy Jelly Roll, they're called. They're 2.5 inch wide strips. I never have bought those because I always have fabric. But if you want a quick, easy, you don't want to cut all those strips, you can buy, it's called a Jelly Roll. You see how narrow that one is compared to this one? And it's fine. So now this one, I'm going to go at an angle. Let me press that a little more. So I'm taking my strip and I'm going at the top of this one up here. And I'm angling it down like that. So this will also go in an angled position just to give it just a different look. You'll see that when I take this off. So see now when I do this, we just get a little bit of that gingham there. Just a hint. I like this fabric. I have a bunch of the gingham and this one and the one with the little flower, those are fat quarters. But I have a lot of this. So now this one I'm just going to follow. Just butt the two ends up together. So you can angle your fabric. If you have a bunch of odd shaped pieces, you can do something like this, and you can do any shape. You can do a cow silhouette, and you can Google that, and you can print it off, and then just use all black and white fabrics. You can do a pig and do it all pinks. I mean, you're only limited by your imagination, and I know sometimes even me, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. My brain is just fried and I can't think. So you're not the only one. So I don't know who else is going live. If you're new to my page, all these creators that's on here, if you're not following them, please go follow. Because they might take my idea and turn it totally around. Now, I do these for every holiday. I have a drawer in the end table in my living room, and I just keep them all in there. So what I'm doing, because this is short, I'm making sure it goes over both of my lines. And if you happen to sew a piece and it doesn't go totally over your line, if it's just a little bit, you can just cut that a little narrower or add another strip just to that end. Yeah, I gotta find out why my machine's making this noise. She was just in the hospital, so she better not be messing up again. That's too expensive. Hi, Colette. How are you, dear? I've been thinking about you lately. So let's do this one at an angle. Jody's silent. Does anybody believe that? When I'm quiet, my husband says, "What's going on? You okay? What's wrong?" See? It just has a hint of the gingham. Oh, I totally understand. I used to take care of 2 men when I worked home health. The one, he was comical. The other one, he could have his moments. Hi, Cindy. Welcome. Yeah, the one, he was getting dementia. And he fought his daughter. He lived with her. He fought his daughter to the point where she hired me to come in and help her. So I would go every morning and help him out of bed, getting ready for the day, and make sure he had his meds and did his blood pressure, all that stuff. And then I'd go in the evening and put him back to bed. But when I wasn't there, he fought her so bad. And then one day we finally realized that I reminded him of somebody. And that's why he cooperated with me and not with her. And she had no idea who I reminded him of. But he was such a sweet man with me. And if he was cranky, I'd have to say, okay, I'm going home. I'm not staying here with you. And he straightened right up. But she was very upset. Even though I found a replacement for her, she was very upset when I retired. When Tony and I got married. Because before Tony and I got married, I just worked to work. What else was I going to do? My kids both lived in different states. So I just worked. I worked a full-time job. That was for my bills. I worked a part-time job. And then I took care of 2 old men and cleaned house for 5 people. My kids kept saying, why are you cleaning house? Go back to the hospital. So see how that's going to look? So when we get this all cut, it'll look a whole lot better. Let's see what color we need. I've lost my, the way I was putting them on here. But it's a mug rug, so it's fine. So any mug rug pattern you can make into pot holders just by changing up the batting. Now, if you're going to do, I always use 2 layers. I use one of these and then the one for pot holders. Because you want it better safe than sorry, right? When you're taking something hot out of the oven. Y'all are so quiet. Oh, yeah? So see, now our line is tapering off, so I don't have to come this far. All the way over like I have been. because I've been sewing all the way to here, and we don't need to do that. I can just come right to this line, just a little bit over, because it's all going to be cut off. Now, what do I do with all these little pieces? No, I do not throw them away, because by using a piece of fusible, we can fuse all of this together and do stitching all over the top of it and make something out of it. So I do not throw any fabric away, not even little pieces. Now, if you have a piece like that, now you've seen me what I do with these tiny little pieces. These are called crumbs, and the threads that I cut off and that is extra. So we need to do an Easter project with all these crumbs. When I moved, somebody actually bought all my crumbs from me. I told Tony I sold all the crumb fabric and threads I had, and he said, "What's a crumb?" So now we're clear at the end. I'm going to trim that little bit off. See now that little snippet is a crumb. So we're going to fold this over. And we're going to fold this. See if that's enough to cover that raw edge. No, it is not. So I'm going to add one more piece of fabric, because you don't want this just to cover this raw edge. You want it to come over that raw edge a little bit, because these are going to get a lot of use. So you'll want to, no, let me get another strip. So you want to make sure that when we fold our next fabric over, see, that just barely covers that raw edge, and I don't like that, so I'm adding another strip. So this summer, we're going to be doing a whole bunch Hi, Mom. You make paper out of them. That's interesting. So those of you just joining, we're making a mug rug. Or a coaster, whatever you call them. And it's a carrot. With Mod Podge. Interesting. You'll have to do that sometime and show us, Donna. With old t-shirts? Okay, so what we're going to do with this last strip, all we're going to do is just fold under this edge. It's going to cover up all that raw edge on the pieces coming this way. Now, if you have to at this point, use pins, use pins. And I'm just going to make a stitch really close to the edge all the way up. If your machine has these 3 stitches, this is center, and this is right, and this is edge, and this is on the right of center. So if you have those stitches, use those. So if you have a machine like this and it has all these stitches on it, I would advise you sit down with a piece of white fabric or muslin and just do all those stitches just to see what they look like, because they look totally different on your fabric than they do on that little guide there. And that is also a nice reference that you can just keep, and then I want to do a fancy stitch. What do I want to do? And then you can look at your reference. Okay, let's push her over. Get rid of all these extra strips. That's what we have. See, it looks a whole lot better than everything just going top to bottom. Take our pattern. Now I'm holding it up so I can see through it to make sure that this pattern is totally on all those strips. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can see that too. And then I'm going to pin it. This way it does not move. I'm looking for my back fabric. Why is it I lose something every single video? So weird. I'll have to get up and get another piece. So all we're going to do is cut this out. Tony was looking for something he had out the other day. I told him it's trolls. We have trolls. They followed us from the other house. They were in my other sewing room. Now they're here. So there is our carrot. Now all of this could actually be added to another project. So I'm throwing all of that over there with all my crumbs. My fabric is gone. I am so sorry, y'all. Hold on. I gotta go get another piece. So you get a little bit of a view of my sewing room. And it's a mess right now because it's not together. I have stuff sitting everywhere right now. And I'm probably made you seasick. So I decided probably to use that scrap with the swirls on it. So all we're going to do is take this off. I don't know. Something is going on because every video, one thing misses, comes up missing off my table. And before I go live, I go through everything. I usually spend the weekends and I do my projects. What am I doing? And I put all the supplies in a basket. So then I go over it again right before I go live. So we need our carrot top. So I'm using just green 1/8" strips. I'm just folding these in half. And I'm going to cut 4 or 5 of these. Now these are 5.5 inch long. So we're going to do 4 or 5. Now, if you have to, you can lay these out and make sure each of them are the same. But this is not a project that you got to be extremely precise with. You can fudge this. Quick, easy. Not sure how many I cut there. So all we're going to do is we're going to take these and fold them in half, cut edge to cut edge. Right? Yeah. Hi, Barbara. You snuck in here. So we're making a carrot mug rug. So all I'm doing is just matching the two cut ends. And then I'm matching these. And we're going to put these in between the back fabric and the quilted top that we just made. Oh, Jody. See? That's what it's going to look like. So you can make this as bushy as you want. So I got to get busy finishing my apron up. So I'm doing an apron for my daughter, but also for a contest. So there we go. I'm going to let the cut ends go, hang over the top just a little bit. And I'm just going to stitch that. I'm going to hold this while I do it. And I'm going to back stitch and go forward a couple of times just to make sure that I get all those pieces. So when we're done, that's what it'll look like. So we're just going to go all the way around and leave one side a little bit of an opening. And all I've done so far is this is nothing but straight stitching. We do get into some decorative stitching and zigzag, but we don't do that much because I don't want to lose any of you new sewers. But eventually we will. And I'm just doing a 1/4 inch all the way around. Now when I get up here to the top, I want to make sure all that ribbon is tucked under there. So a really nice gift is to give a set of 4 of different holiday coasters to somebody. And you can whip these up in no time at all. So we're going to cut around our fabric. Now when I get to this opening, I'll show you what I'm going to do. Get this opening, and I'm making just a little bit of a tab. See that? See how I did that? So when I tuck it in, I'm definitely going to get all of that fabric inside of that seam. Now even these little tiny pieces of ribbon that cut off there, they're going into my crumb basket. So I got to start that all over again since I sewed. Now we have this point. We want to cut right there is our sewing. Whoops, we're blurred. We're cutting almost up to that. We're cutting that off. And then I'm going to cut just a little bit on each side. And what that does is going to give this point more of a point. And there's not going to be any excess fabric in there as bulk. So let's turn this. Thanks, Jody. Where you learned it from. So because of the batting, this is a little stiffer. We could have left a bigger opening, but it's turning okay. So if you can only do a straight stitch, here's a project for you. Or if you have an old machine like my other one, it only does a straight stitch. This is your project. And you can do this for every holiday. Okay, Jenna, let's get this turned. It does give a cleaner edge, Jody. It does. I do it all the time because it makes that tuck. If you've ever cut your fabric totally straight and turned something inside out and then tried to fold that little lip under, sometimes you don't catch those layers. And then you have this raw edge showing. But if you leave that little bit of a lip there, then you're definitely guaranteed to catch all those layers of fabric. Here we go. We have lots of layers of fabric here. So all you want to do is make sure all of this is pushed out. Now you can use a point turner, but if you use your scissors, be careful. Even with this will go through your fabric, that you don't poke a hole in your fabric. You don't want to do all that work and then end up with a hole. And I'm going to steam that again. Isn't that cute? So you can go even one step further before you put your front and back together. You can do an applique on here of something. I mean, you can take the simplest projects and make them as complicated as you want. So I'm just making sure everything's tucked in there and that it's all smooth. There we go. So I'm doing a top stitch all the way around as close to the edge as I can get. I saw on Amazon they have a base that you can put your stand mixer on. It's like got little wheels on it. I'm wondering if that would work on a sewing machine. So I am moving my needle over. So I want that closer. And this is called edge stitching. And make sure you back stitch. So whatever is smaller than 1/8 of an inch, that's what I'm doing here. And I'm making sure these stay up so they don't get caught. So I posted a few guides on Telegram so that you all can print those out and have them. And what I mean by that is a ruler, what all those markings are. I have some other ones that I need to post. This is one of them. It tells you what each one of those little lines are. Because I think unless you're in construction or you're a mathematician, I don't know what those lines are. And there you go. We have a coaster. Set my bottle of water on it. But aren't those cute? And all it is scrap fabric. You need that? Hi, Barb. Thanks. All scrap fabric. That's all that is. Well, that's an idea too. I'll have to check that out. Especially for that old machine, because it's 50 pounds. And it's all metal. Every bit of it is metal. And I honestly, anymore, I can't pick it up. Well, you saw me yesterday struggling trying to get that thing pulled back and forth. Thanks, Barbara. Colette, you have a lot going on, dear. Take care of yourself. Hi, Mimi. You snuck in too. I didn't see that. So there you got a little mug rug. And we got our little... You can make this as long or as short as you want. So I hope you like it. If you try any of my projects, please let me know. Because I like to see what y'all do and how you change things up. So if you see this on replay, please let me know you've seen it on replay so that I can thank you for watching. Cut all these threads off. But there you go. Now you can make 4 of these and give them as a gift or cute little thing on your coffee table. Thanks, Colette. Oh, yes, please do. Go back and watch it because this doesn't take any thought. You can put your fabric on going top to bottom, side to side. You don't have to do the angle like I did it. It just gives it a little bit different look. And you see, one of my fabrics here already has a seam on it. So I don't know what I was doing with it, but... So thank you for hopping on. Tomorrow I'm coming on sometime because I bought a new foot. And I want to show you all. And we're going to play around with it to see how it works. Because this machine, I cannot put anything magnetic on it. But there's actually a foot that has a seam guide on it. So we're going to play around with that. We're going to work on my apron and play around with that foot. To see how that actually works. God bless you all. Have a great night. I will see you sometime tomorrow. I'll pop on here. Thank you for watching. I really greatly appreciate it.